everybody. Coming down to the end of 2025, and it is going out like a lion. I don't know where you're listening to me from, but here in Southern Ontario, it is frigid cold. There's ice everywhere, and frankly, it's not all that very December-y. December is supposed to be nice and warm with light snow on Christmas Day, and that's it. This is not it. Let me bring in the great Anna Almeida. How you doing, Anna?
Great. I love this nickname I'm finishing off the year with.
The great Anna Almeida. There it is.
That's the best. Thank you. That's the best name I've ever been associated with.
I know that you've got the listener DMs in front of you, and we are going to get to those in just a sec. But first off, I want to cover just a couple of topics that are going to come up again over the next couple of days and weeks. So don't worry if I don't go too far in depth on it today. I'm just going to give you some initial thoughts on two important topics. Number one, another conservative has crossed the floor to the Liberals. My inbox blew up at this last night, Anna. I want to tell conservatives, first off, y'all got to calm down. This is not the end of the world. I'm going to give you just a little bit of optimism here because the way things are not the way things are going to be in 2026. Another conservative has crossed the floor. This one, to me, stinks of foreign interference. That riding in particular is one that we all had our eye on to wonder if there was going to be foreign interference in that riding. It is intimately connected to China, and people are going to do their work. Some very, very, very good reporters, Sam Cooper is one of them, are already looking into what exactly went on here. It's also very suspicious that this guy who crossed the floor was recently meeting with the Chinese ambassador. It's weird that mere hours before he crossed the floor, this guy waited in a long line at the Conservative Party Christmas party to take a picture with Pierre Poilievre and his wife. I mean, nothing about this adds up, except it seems very abrupt. I also want to point out that I don't know that this guy's a liberal. When Chris d'Entremont in Nova Scotia crossed the floor, I would actually believe it if you told me he's a liberal. He had conservative talking points and he got elected as a conservative. He used conservative voters and resources and money to get himself elected, but he might actually be a liberal. He might have that political ideology. I don't know. When it comes to this guy that just crossed the floor, I think his name is Ma. Is his last name? I don't know who he is, but he doesn't do much in Parliament. You've probably never heard of the guy because I don't think he does much. I think he probably does have conservative values. That's probably why this is so suspicious. Giving out a nonsense excuse like, oh, I consulted with the residents of my riding. I don't think you did. I don't think you did at all. And yeah, he crosses the floor and it brings the Liberals one step closer to a majority government. But if you look down the line and you look at how bad the economy is now, it's going to be even worse in January. And even worse in February and worse in March. We're going down a dangerous road. So one of two things is going to happen. The Liberals are either going to ask for their own election this coming spring to try and get a proper majority, or the government is going to have to fall. And I think that there's going to be more floor crossing. Both parties, actually, both of the main parties. I could see people going to the Liberals and I could see people going to the Conservatives. We're going to have some by-elections. There's some members of Parliament that have stepped down to take diplomatic positions. There's a lot of things coming, everybody, that I don't think you need to worry too much. This particular member of Parliament crossing the floor, I don't think this one's a reflection on Pierre Poilievre's leadership, even though that's what the mainstream media is going to spend all weekend and all of next week trying to say. Oh, it's because of Pierre. No, it's not. I'd actually like this one investigated formally by the RCMP and by CSIS. This one doesn't seem right at all. And I'm thinking back to former Conservative candidate Joe Tay. Everybody understands that there's some foreign interference that has happened in Canada, and I don't think it's over yet. For the Liberals to try and claim they've got a majority government because they made some backroom deals and convinced some weak members of Parliament who weren't going anywhere anyway to cross the floor, I don't really think that that's what Canadians voted for. In fact, I know that's not what Canadians voted for. If we end up in a situation where things in this country are really bad and there's no way to get rid of the government because they've made deals to get themselves a majority, I think 2026 is going to be ugly. People are not going to stand much longer for the way things are. And frankly, nothing is getting done. One bill got passed in the fall session of Parliament. One bill. The budget isn't even passed yet. People are not going to take this for much longer. People are getting angry. Don't worry too much about this guy who crossed the floor. That one needs to be investigated heavily. And there may even be more. But at the end of the day, I'm still optimistic about what's going to happen in 2026. And I think we need a change in government. I think we might get one. And I don't think we're going to have to wait long. I can't really explain it to you, but I have reason to believe that there is hope on the way for 2026. Now, the other thing I want to mention is just general parliamentary politics in general. In Ontario Premier Doug Ford has decided he's going to adjourn the House until the end of March. Typically, after your break, you'd come back and you'd do your spring legislative session. You'd get all kinds of bills passed and do all kinds of great work for the people. And that could still happen. In fact, in Ottawa, the House resumes on January the 26th. The provincial legislature probably should have been in and around Family Day, middle of February. They've decided to move it to the end of March. Well, listen, if the government really has that little to do, that little that they don't need to be in the House. They only sat for 51 days in this session. 51 out of 365 days. The government in Ontario recently ordered all staff to be back in the office full-time, 5 days a week. No more work from home. It's totally reasonable to expect the exact same thing from our legislators. Totally appropriate. These people that are members of provincial parliament get paid a hell of a lot of money, over $200,000 a year, plus their perks. There's nothing unreasonable about expecting them to be in their office, in their riding, 5 days a week, 9 to 5. And you know who doesn't want to hear that? Those members of parliament. They do not want to be in the office, and they sure as hell don't want to be there 5 days a week from 9 to 5, even though they get paid far better than the average Canadian does. They should have to hold office hours, and they should probably publicly publish their itinerary so that people can see that they're working. If they were in the legislature, everyone could turn on their TV and see where their member of provincial parliament is. Well, now they're not going to be in parliament till the end of March. So what can we assume they're doing between now and then? Some of them are going to be out there, the premier included. He is always on the go. He is going to events nonstop. He's shaking hands. He's on the phone. I have no doubt that Doug Ford is going to be working between now and the end of March. But what about those backbench members of provincial parliament that don't really have any responsibilities? Who's watching them? Given that the government just gave themselves a 35% pay increase and a better pension. Given that they just ordered all civil servants back to the office 5 days a week, it is not unreasonable to expect these people to be transparent about what they do all day to earn over $200,000 a year. If the House isn't sitting, there needs to be another mechanism. So here's my proposal. All members of provincial parliament, in fact, any level of parliament, you should have to publish your itinerary daily on your website so we can see that you're going to be at work and you have things to do. And if you have to go out to a meeting, if you have to go and cut a ribbon somewhere, no problem. But you're expected to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. This is not a part-time job. If you work on the weekend because you go to an event, sure, take the Monday off. You can have a lieu day. We'll treat it just like any other employee would be treated. But you get paid an executive level salary and you're not doing executive level hours if you're not in parliament and you can't justify what you did at your office if you even went to your office. We need more accountability. Frankly, too much money is being wasted. And I want to know that if we're paying someone an incredible amount of money, that they're actually working for it. Do you have any issue with that, Anna? Or is there any issues that you want to flag before I go public with this one?
I think this is great. Say it, preach it. I agree. If you expect us to do that, then you should be doing the same. To expect and not deliver on your end is just BS to me.
Well, I think that these members of parliament, federal and provincial, think that they're above everybody, and they're just not.
They're not at all. And remember how you got there. So
they got elected and they got a big salary because of it, and many of them are going to get lifelong pensions. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask them to do a full week's work.
Yeah.
9 to 5, Monday to Friday. You better be in your constituency office. And frankly, I'm okay if we install time clocks. Punch in just like anybody else would if they were working at a factory or at a store or a restaurant. Punch in. Let's make sure you're there doing the work. And if you think, well, I can do it from home. Well, then there's the argument from the civil service. Get your butts back to the office, whether it's in your constituency or at Queen's Park. Let everyone know on your website daily which one you're going to be working from, and you damn well better be there.
I hope they
That's
hear this.
not an unreasonable request.
No, and if you have to sit in traffic, tough. That's what you're making everybody else do, too.
Well, that'll help out the downtown businesses, I think. Yeah.
Whatever.
I wonder how much that's going to hurt the downtown businesses that Queen's Park isn't sitting for 102 days.
Give me a break. That's just ridiculous.
You know, I think some good stuff got done in the fall. Getting rid of those speed enforcement cameras was huge, and some cost of living items got dealt with. I mean, all that stuff is great. We're making progress on transit. That's good. But there's still a lot of things that need to be done here, and if the government can afford to not sit for 102 days, well, then they better be in their office, because that'll be the argument. We don't need to be in the legislature. We need to be in our ridings, listening to constituents.
Yes.
Well, then you damn well better be in your riding, in your office, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, listening to constituents, or on the phone, thinking of new ways to make Ontario better, make Canada better. That's what I want to see from our members of provincial parliament, and I challenge all of them, any one of them listening. Start publishing your daily itinerary. You don't have to be too specific. I understand there could be some security concerns there, but give us an idea of what's on your agenda that day and make sure you're in your office 5 days a week from 9 to 5. And hey, like I said, we can be reasonable. If you got to go out on a Sunday afternoon to march in a Santa Claus parade, no problem. You can take some time off on Monday. We'll give you a lieu day for it.
Yeah.
But you got to work to earn that kind of money. Because the average person can't even imagine getting a salary over $200,000 a year and work for, 2 terms, and you got a lifelong pension. You can retire.
Oh, that's just, I'm not going to say privilege, because I obviously worked to get to this position, but now you have to continue to work to stay in this position.
All right. That's we're 10 minutes in. I got those 2 things off my head. Just to summarize, members of provincial parliament, they should have to justify their money. They should have to be in the office 5 days a week, 9 to 5. Federally, people crossing the floor, this one stinks. If I were the Liberals, I would definitely keep my distance from this guy who crossed the floor and cooperate fully with the CSIS and RCMP investigations. And if there isn't already one happening, there should be one happening. Keep an eye on the journalists who watch foreign interference. Sam Cooper's a great one. Look for him on X. Watch what's going to happen here. This one, I'm not upset about this guy crossing the floor. Chris D'Entremont's a loser. He had to go, and he wanted to go, so good riddance. Bye. It was very dishonest of him to do that. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
There should be an automatic by-election if you want to cross the floor and formally change party affiliations.
Yes.
If he hadn't changed his party affiliation, he just voted with the government, this wouldn't be a problem. You're allowed to do that under our system. But when you formally want to be declared a member of the governing party, there should be an automatic by-election. And he doesn't want that. D'Entremont doesn't want that. None of them do. These deals are getting made in the background, and Canadians are having a hard time keeping track of who's on what team. We can't even get the Liberals to tell us if they're in favor of a pipeline or not. If you went one by one with the Liberals and asked them, you, yes or no? You, yes or no? I don't know we would get an answer from half of them. They don't want to say it. They're opposed to it. They just won't actually say it. That is not democracy. That is not helping out the voters. These guys are playing a team sport. They're playing to win, and they've completely forgotten the fact that this is not a sport. This is our lives, and you guys are messing with it for your own personal gain. I think that this is going to be an interesting couple of months, Anna. I really do.
Gosh, I love your passion. You're very smart.
Thank you. Let's get to the listener DMs. A lot came in this week, and we're going to try and go through as many as possible on this nice sunny Friday in Southern Ontario.
All right. So first one, I was talking with a friend who owns a few Tim Hortons in Kitchener, Cambridge area. He was recently told by the government he can't hire foreign workers, so he hired 5 Canadians. Within 2 days, he had to fire one for being on their phone during shifts, another for stealing $250, and 2 more for other issues, leaving just one. It really shows that one bad apple can spoil the bunch. There are good young Canadians out there, but the unreliable ones make hiring difficult. I don't think foreign workers should replace young Canadians, but owners are struggling to trust resumes now. Not sure how to fix it, just thought you'd like to know. Have a great day and keep up the amazing work.
Oh, thank you. I don't know the circumstances of why those people got fired or what, but I'll assume that the manager had just ground to get rid of them. At the end of the day, I understand that it's hard to find good people for good jobs, and that's why you've got to be extra diligent when you hire. Take the time. And by the way, don't base any hiring whatsoever on resumes or post-secondary credentials. My resume never even gets looked at when I submit a resume somewhere because I don't have a university degree, Anna. That's the thing that holds me back from getting jobs in other industries. I found that out when I was unemployed and I was looking at a few different options. Is without post-secondary, they make it very, very difficult. And it's funny because the few people that I said, why don't you just ignore that and let's have an interview? Completely blown away. Offered me a job on the spot. after the interview. But I wouldn't have got that if I wasn't persistent, because they base it off the resume. Same thing when it comes to hiring for a minimum wage, part-time Tim Hortons job. You've got to do the interview. When you do the interview, then you can find out what somebody's really about. Can you necessarily tell that somebody is a thief or that they're going to be on their phone through the shift? Well, maybe not the thief part, but you can definitely get the vibe on whether or not they're the type that's going to be on their phone. You can also lay out expectations in an interview. And I don't know that a lot of people take the time to do it. At the end of the day, we can't have any more temporary foreign workers. None. The whole program has got to be paused until Canadians have had a chance to apply for these jobs. When it comes to temporary foreign workers, the rules were not being enforced. Nobody believes that an A&W restaurant in downtown Toronto could not find a single Canadian willing to flip burgers and pour root beer. Nobody believes that. And that's the criteria to bring in a temporary foreign worker. You have to demonstrate that no Canadians want the job. Well, clearly people in Ottawa were just rubber stamping, if they even looked at these things anyway, and there were some dishonest applications. So while bad apples may ruin the experience of hiring local teenagers, well, some bad actors have really screwed up the temporary foreign worker program. There was a place for it. There might even arguably be a need for it, but you can't have it. It's got to go until everything gets back on track. And that includes making sure all Canadians have had a chance to apply for the job. And then we can talk about what positions are still available. Then we can get to that. Make sure you go through the interview process, everybody. That's how you can weed out the most bad apples.
All right. Next up, Ash. Hey, Scott. I am a mom of a son with autism, and I know segregated classrooms are a sensitive topic. I don't support them for my son. Doctors have told me, monkey see, monkey do. And that being said, and that being around neurotypical kids help him learn routines and behaviors. I do understand that some children with more severe disabilities can be very disruptive, which isn't fair for the rest of the class either. Maybe individual assessments could help decide who might benefit actually from a segregated class, but then who does those assessments? What criteria would be used, and can we even provide enough support in those separate classrooms? Thank you for everything you do. I'm so glad you didn't leave radio, and your podcast is a success, well deserved. I listen every day, and I'm so happy Anna joined the team. Oh, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's from Ash.
Ash. I get so many messages from parents about this, and it's really interesting going through them, because so many parents have so many different priorities and questions about this program. For those who don't know, in Alberta, they are going to make it a lot easier to basically go back to segregation. Students that have high or special or unique needs will be in a different classroom. Now, when I was going to school, that's the way it was. There was the special education room, and then there were all the other regular classrooms, the quote unquote normal classrooms. At some point along the line, everybody got integrated together. And I understand why completely. Now there's a suggestion that because it is becoming disruptive, because there are such high and unique needs among so many students, that maybe it would make more sense to go back to a system where all the people with high and special needs are in one room that is filled with ECEs and teachers and adult supervision, and teach them that way. And that way they're not being disruptive for the students who don't have those unique or special needs, and they can just get their regular proper education. The problem is who goes to the segregated classroom and who decides who goes in that one. And what if a parent doesn't agree with that assessment? You know, what if the so-called experts say, well, your kid is going to have to go to the special room, and they're going to have the special teachers and do the special curriculum, and they're not going to be in with all the other kids. There's some kids who should probably be in that high needs room that are going to fight it every step of the way to keep their kid integrated with the other kids. There's others who are going to be put in that special needs class that are going to argue, my kid shouldn't be in here. They should actually be in the other room. It's going to create a bit of an administrative nightmare. I don't know who's going to make the final decision, but I'll say it again, third week in a row. However they do it, they need to do it with the utmost compassion and thinking about the kids' needs first. The thought of segregating kids or telling a kid you're different, so you have to go to a different classroom, that guts me. I mean, I don't know how you look at a kid and say that. So I just hope that we get this right. And that is another parent that's got some questions about how this is going to work. And that's not to say that this is a bad idea. At first, I thought it was a bad idea, but enough educators have messaged me to say, actually, this is exactly what we need. okay, I'll go along with what you're telling me, but I still have a real hard time telling a kid you're different, so we're going to treat you differently. I think that we should make them feel included. But then again, I also understand there's a lot of parents who are every day they hear a different story about their kid at school. And, well, we had to go to the gym today because such and such had a violent outburst and they were throwing desks. And, well, we had to go and work in the library today because a teacher got assaulted. Well, we had to go and do this or do that because of X, Y, and Z. And I think that that's not fair either. So I don't know what the balance is going to end up being. I just hope that they get it right and they treat these situations with dignity and compassion and the needs of the students first. That's what I'll leave it at.
Very well said. All right, next up is, I think Elon Musk, his laugh sounds mechanical, really. Sad that he can't really leave his house for security reasons. I feel like I need to sit back and watch with some popcorn as to what is going to happen with the Liberal government. Okay,
so I did play a little bit of an Elon Musk clip the other day. He does have a weird laugh.
Yeah.
You ever heard Elon laugh?
Vaguely. I think I get lost in his appearance, his eyes, because they just feel like he's looking through me.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely concede that. He does have a weird laugh. When it comes to the Liberals in the next few months, yeah, make some popcorn. I know there's conservatives that are listening today that are feeling deflated, feeling like, we're never going to get rid of the Liberal government. I don't think you need to feel that way, and I don't think you need to let it bring you down right before the holidays. There's going to be a lot of noise over the next couple of weeks because, let me tell you exactly why, and part of the timing around this. At the end of January, the Conservative Party is going to hold their annual convention. At that, there has to be a leadership review of Pierre Poilievre, and it's a simple question that all members and delegates at the convention are going to answer. Do you support Pierre Poilievre as leader? I don't know what the threshold is. I think it's just 50% plus one, and he automatically stays on. But there's going to be many who say he needs to get 80%. He needs to get 70%. He needs to have a very compelling number, or he doesn't have a mandate. I don't know that I agree with that. I really don't. I mean, Mark Carney is running around with less than a majority, claiming he's got a majority, and people are fine with that. So Pierre getting anything over 50, I'd say, is just fine. But he's going to do much better than that. The problem is, right now, the Liberals are trying like crazy to undermine Pierre Poilievre because at the end of the day, when we go to an election, they do not want to go up against Pierre Poilievre. He's been the most effective member of parliament at prosecuting the case against the Liberals. They know that he makes common sense. They see that he can bring thousands of people out to a rally on a cold spring night. They're worried. They do not want to go up against Pierre Poilievre. And we all know that if the government wants something done, the media will pile on. So for the next few weeks, you're going to see the Liberals try to convince more conservatives to cross the floor. And you're going to see the media constantly undermine Pierre Poilievre's leadership because they would love nothing more than to see conservatives turn on Pierre and get some middle-of-the-road, wishy-washy person like we used to have in Aaron O'Toole. Nothing against Aaron. He's a nice guy, but he wasn't the right guy for that job. Not at this time, anyway. They want somebody like that in there that's not going to be particularly effective arguing against Mark Carney in a debate and that really can't make the point that the conservatives are feeling. Pierre Poilievre, in my estimation, is the right guy for the job right now. Everything else is just noise, and they're going to bombard you conservatives with all kinds of rhetoric and stories and probably polls and surveys to say Pierre Poilievre will lose if he goes up against Carney. Let's put him up against Carney and see what actually happens, because he was very, very, very close to beating him last time. This time, take Trump out of the equation. Everybody has seen Mark Carney and what didn't get done for the last 8 months. They know how bad the economy is. Let's have an election over that. Let's have an election over pipelines. When the choice is very clear, Pierre, pipeline. Carney, no pipeline. That right there could change the electorate. Let's see where this goes. I don't think you need to get caught up in the noise. Don't let it ruin your Christmas. A lot's going to happen between now and the election in April.
Okay, and some of these that are coming up.
By the way, we are still having an election in April, just so everybody knows it's going to happen.
Okay, and so this is some of those comments regarding the Conservatives. I think Mr. Carney is trying to just run Canada into the ground so that it is easier for the U.S. to take over us. We won't have a choice.
I hear that a lot. A lot of people believe that, Anna.
Yeah.
Is he intentionally running us into the ground? No, I don't think he is intentionally running us into the ground. But I mean, if that ends up happening, I don't know how upset he's going to be about it. Listen, we knew during the election, people very close to Mark Carney, it was published, said that shortly after the election, and they predicted Carney would win, but it would be close. Shortly after the election, Mark Carney will capitulate and Canada will eventually become the 51st state. We're right on track for that. It's still in the works. It could still happen. I don't know if it's gonna. Does Mark Carney want that? I don't know. It doesn't seem like he doesn't want that. I mean, it seems like right now he's... It's hard to explain what Mark Carney is doing right now because almost nothing got passed in this session of the legislature. Almost nothing. And he's not really doing any of the things he said we need to do to protect our sovereignty. So maybe there's something to it. I'm going to err on the side of, no, he's a patriot and he's looking out for the best interests of Canada. But if somebody can prove me otherwise, I'll believe you. Because so far, all the evidence is pointing in that direction.
Pretty sad. All right, Brian, I had a question. I have a friend who is a liberal, and she said that she would never vote conservative because they are anti-abortion and want to take away the right for women to choose. Now I know it's not true, but how do I talk to her about that? I also almost got 12,000. I almost got the 12,000 club with 11,786 minutes. Keep up the great work and thank you. That's from Brian.
Thank you, Brian. He's talking about minutes listened in your Spotify Wrap. That's great. I appreciate that. Your friend won't vote conservative because they think the conservatives are going to take away your right to abortion. I hear this one a lot. I think it was just last week we talked about that.
Yep.
If you want, refer your friend to last week because I had a very impassioned plea to people who still believe that. The simple answer is that's a lie. That's not going to happen. It's right in the party's constitution. They had a majority government under Stephen Harper and never touched it. Members of parliament under the conservative banner have been told leave the abortion issue alone. Yes, there are some conservatives that are pro-life. But it is not a policy of the Conservative Party of Canada that they're going to change the abortion laws. It's not going to happen under Pierre Poilievre. It didn't happen under Stephen Harper. It won't happen under Pierre or Doug Ford, whoever ends up winning.
Okay.
Doug Ford is still very much in play here.
You think so?
Doug is one of the people who is probably willing on this campaign that's going to happen over the next month to discredit Pierre Poilievre and try and get conservatives to turn on Pierre. Because if they turn on Pierre, Doug wants that job. He wants to run for prime minister. I still think he might not even be premier by the time the legislature returns at the end of March.
People have strong feelings that are turning for Ford, and we have some of those comments coming up. This one, though, Sonia, good morning. Scott Buddy, what the F is happening? Another conservative crossed the floor. Good God, our true north, strong and free, is going to be a thing of the past if another coward conservative crosses over. If the Liberals get majority, what's going to happen to the middle class? We can't handle any more of the BS from the Liberals. Most of us already pay $1,000 plus more on our mortgages, and giving this government all the power will leave us powerless and broke. I'm really worried.
I don't think you need to worry. I don't think you need to let it ruin your Christmas. I don't think that there is any reason to be pessimistic right now. Again, one guy crossing the floor under very suspicious circumstances that probably calls for our National Intelligence Agency to do a pretty thorough investigation. That is... I'm not too worried about this one. Again, I said it at the beginning. I don't think you guys need to stress about this. It's going to be a very different story when the House comes back at the end of January.
Well, this is another one on that one. Spencer, so another conservative crosses the floor. Are we going to see cabinet positions for these guys in the new year as thank yous for this virtually new Liberal majority?
You know what? Even if they do convince another conservative member to cross, then yeah, they would have enough votes to call it a majority. I'm not sure that they're going to pass confidence votes. I don't think that all of the Liberals sitting behind Mark Carney support Mark Carney. I think they're just as opportunistic, and there's only so many cabinet positions. There's hundreds of members of parliament. Only certain people get those plum cabinet positions. Is this Ma guy that crossed yesterday going to get one? Not a freaking chance. That guy's not qualified to be in cabinet, and he'll never be. Chris D'Entremont, I don't know what they promised him, but deals are getting done. People are selling out their own values to try and improve their own career, and they're doing it at the expense of democracy. Canadians gave Mark Carney a minority government. When Canadians give a minority government, it's because they're not ready to commit to giving them a blank check. And Canadians were not ready to give that to Mark Carney. Now, if he can use his money, his influence, maybe some foreign interference, and what have you, to try and get himself a majority, that's dishonest, and it's not the will of the people. I can't explain it to you guys yet, but things are going to happen between now and over the next few months. The situation we're in now is going to be very, very different in February. End of January, beginning of February. Hold out hope. Okay. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter who crosses and who doesn't. There's opportunistic people on both sides. Many of them have career ambitions in politics beyond this term of parliament. Don't worry. Things are going to happen. There's lots of stuff still to come.
All right, next. Hey, buddy, listening to your show today, I really think the Ontario Conservatives need a leadership review. Doug Ford is done in my eyes. He's such a flop. It pisses me off that booze was taken off the shelves. If government doesn't care about the money, fine, but removing it is just childish. Who's running this government? Why? Where are the adults? This behavior is starting to frustrate every Conservative in Ontario.
Yeah, I don't know that Doug is necessarily trying to appeal to Conservatives anymore. I think he's looking at Liberals and middle of the road undecided voters, and he clearly sees a lane for that. And seniors. Seniors, they just watch the news every day and they just get spoon-fed all the typical media narratives. And by and large, the media goes pretty easy on the premier. Some of them do. Some of them are just diabolical in how hardcore they do go after him, and that's wrong too. Listen, when it comes to Doug Ford, I hear it all the time, but I see it differently, guys. Hey, listen, if the cards align and Pierre does not end up staying on as leader of the federal Conservative Party, Doug Ford's going to run. And like I told you months ago, he will win it in a minute. It'll be over quick. Doug will be the leader, and he might even be prime minister. It's hard to say not. If he has political ambitions federally, this is his opportunity. He's going to do whatever he can to make sure that Pierre does not survive that leadership review. That would trigger a leadership race, and Doug will 100% be in it. He did not run for 4 more years at Queen's Park back in the spring. All he had to do was win that election. At some point before this term is over, Doug Ford is going to step down and allow somebody else to be Premier of Ontario. If you don't like Doug as Premier, don't worry. He might not even be here in a few months. He might not be back when the House returns at the end of March. He's got federal ambitions. That's just all there is to it. You can dislike him for a lot of different policies. I treat everything issue by issue. Was he right about the speed cameras? Yes, he's absolutely right. Was he right to cut some of the fees that he did, like the sticker fees and things? Yeah, absolutely. He was right to do that. Was he right to put beer and wine in corner stores and convenience stores? Yes, absolutely. He was right about that. But he's not right about everything. Taking the booze out of the LCBO, I thought was short-sighted. And by the way, the Americans didn't do that to us. And if they did, maybe they wake up one day and realize, the Canadians are still banning our alcohol in their stores. Tell you what, ban Canadian alcohol from U.S. stores. We're going to hurt. That's going to hurt a lot of people. That'll cost a lot of jobs. We're playing with fire with this Donald Trump thing. And I think that they've got to take every step as a measured one. That Ronald Reagan ad, it was a great ad, but it backfired big time. And everybody could have predicted that the president was not going to like that at all. And sure enough, the president didn't like that at all. Now trade talks are completely suspended. Doug has got federal ambitions, as far as I know. He's pissing off a lot of Conservatives. Yes, I know. I hear you. I personally don't see it that way, because when you look at it issue by issue, the good things still outweigh the bad. But I think he is wrong about not buying back the 407. I think he is wrong about not putting the U.S. alcohol back on the shelves. And it's really just going to come down to personal preference. There's people listening right now that don't even agree with what I just said. Everybody feels differently about every issue. He's trying to appeal to the middle. He's trying to appeal to the mainstream. And so far, by and large, he's doing a pretty good job. It might not seem like it when you listen to some of the Queen's Park reporters. It might not seem like it when you talk to your Conservative friends. But if you just talk to regular middle-of-the-road voters, they think Doug Ford's doing a great job. And that's reality.
Okay, so this one. So, Scott, regarding the LCBO American liquor, I thought this was dumb when they took it off the shelves and didn't sell it because they already paid for it. I then did a little digging into the LCBO contract, and it states that they are allowed to send it back to the vendor even if it's open for 100% refund. So I thought, okay, this makes sense. I'm not fuming over stupidity anymore. But now you're telling me we have 80 million of American alcohol just chilling. We didn't send it back for a refund, and we're not even selling it. What the actual beep?
Yeah. The U.S. alcohol thing is a big one, Anna.
Yes.
People got, they got upset about that. There was a brief window there when people believed in the elbows up nonsense. They believed that we were in a war and that Donald Trump was coming to take our country. And at the time, they probably got behind it and said, yeah, take away that U.S. alcohol. I've never supported it and I never will. Taking away adults' right to choose is ridiculous when it comes to the government telling you what you can and can't drink and then just rubbing your nose in it. Well, you don't need to have Jack Daniels. Have some Crown Royal instead. Those are two different drinks. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand what they don't understand about that. It was wrong to do that. Doesn't matter how bad things get with the Americans. Why don't you take every single American product off the shelves then? They'd be pretty bare, by the way, Anna, if we did that.
Yes.
Targeting specifically alcohol was playing with fire. It's still playing with fire. And cooler heads have got to prevail there. At the absolute minimum, put it back on the shelves, sell it, donate the money to charity. That was what Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Manitoba did. Do it that way. That's a good little dip your toe in and see if it's there. I don't think they want to do it, though, because they don't want to admit that there is high demand for it. There is high demand. People want U.S. alcohol back on the shelves, or they at least want the option to choose it.
I miss red wine.
I miss good red wine.
I honestly do.
Hey, I mean, I'll drink the Italian stuff, no problem. Some of the French,
but
occasionally a Chilean. But I want my California wine. And you know what? There's other people that like other things that are American. And the vast majority of people now realize it's nothing like they told us it was. We're not in a trade war. Nobody's coming to annex us. This is a simple trade dispute. And the Americans had every right to impose tariffs, just like we have every right to impose the tariffs that we've imposed. You know, we talk a lot about how hard done we are, how hard done by we are because of what the Americans did. Well, number one, the Americans are doing it to everybody. They're just resetting their trade balance. And then we turned around and screwed a whole lot of people by putting in our own tariffs. And these protectionist policies, buy Ontario, buy Canadian, buy Burlington, like local city, buy local initiatives. And it's crazy. Eventually, our businesses are going to hurt. It won't take long for other countries to realize that if their companies can't sell their product in Ontario or to Canada, then maybe our companies shouldn't be allowed to bid on their stuff. We're going to get screwed in the long run. This is a short-sighted, Band-Aid on a bullet hole kind of thing. We needed to have a more thoughtful strategy, and it just took way too long to even get where we are. And in the end, we ended up doing everything that Donald Trump is doing. Everything Trump is doing, we're doing the exact same thing either to the Americans or to someone else. Doesn't make it right. It just means that Trump was right, and we agreed with him, despite us grandstanding and saying we don't agree.
Well, this one, we're not getting an election in April. This carnage beep is bringing people to cross the floor. I believe Carney, to cross the floor. I knew he was going to get a majority. The next one will be an NDP MP. You watch and see.
Yeah, let's watch and see.
Okay.
I think a number of members of parliament are going to cross the floor. Right now, they're only going one way, but that doesn't mean that's what everyone's thinking. Just relax, everybody. Calm down. Don't let it ruin your Christmas. We don't need to fight about this. You don't need to start second guessing everything you've ever wondered about politically. Just chill. This is all part of a game, and it's going to come to a head this spring. Trust me.
Well, this one says, hey, Scott, thank you so much for what you do. Your pod has helped many, including me, catch up and get the right perspective on lots of the day-to-day issues that arise that normal media doesn't cover. So thank you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Every day I set out to counter the narrative because somebody's got to do it. If I don't do it, who is? I mean, everybody else that seems to be kind of interested in the kind of thing I'm doing, it's just a social media thing. I'm putting out a show every day that could replace your radio listening. And it's a show every day about what's happening in the news that day with a lot more context and clarity than you get from the news. And in some cases, stories that you aren't even getting on the news. Did you know that we just signed a digital ID treaty with the European Union?
No.
It wasn't on the news, but we did. This is a massive thing. Now you can go to the Google Play Store and download the prototype app, which is just testing right now, for digital ID in Canada. We should have a very, very serious conversation about how we implement that and if we even should implement digital ID. To some people, they've just heard the top line stuff. Yeah. It's just like a digital version of your passport. Poof. Yeah, I mean, it is, but it also gives the government incredible power to keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
It also makes it incredibly easy for other governments to lock you out. This is not something people should be cheering on. If we're going to go down that road, we need to talk about it. The media is not covering things that make the government look bad. They will give extra coverage to things that make the opposition look bad. It's not fair, it's dishonest, and they present themselves as neutral and unbiased when they're clearly not neutral and they're very biased. It's dishonest, it confuses people, and there shouldn't be any trust there with the mainstream media because they've lied to you enough. Like, hopefully, when you watch the news, you watch it with skepticism, not thinking you're learning something. They're not there to teach you anything, they're there to indoctrinate you. That's their job. I just hope people recognize it. And if you don't want to fall victim to that, then you listen to podcasts like this and follow some of the other conservative influencers on social media. That's the only way you're going to get the other side of the story. We have a state broadcaster. That means state propaganda. Think about that. You're not getting the whole story if you just watch the news. And that's all news, by the way. That's local news. It's what's written in your local newspaper's website and right up to what's on the national news every evening. There's an agenda here, and the agenda is not to inform you. It's to inform you of what they want you to know. Do you see that, Anna? Like, I mean, you'd probably watch the news at night occasionally. You were doing it for a while. I mean, do you see how biased it is as someone who used to work in that industry?
Yeah, I can see it because there is, when you go into the pitch ideas of what the story should be that day, and they do have, no, this is what should be precedent, this should be first, this, and that. So yeah, I can see it. And what I think sometimes people are pushing for definitely gets overlooked. And I've seen that firsthand as well.
It's scary that what goes on here, and it's right in front of people's faces. And unless you know what to look for, you just assume that everything is on the TV is true. The news can't lie. Can they? They do all the time. And sometimes that lying is by omitting details. You should watch the news with a lot of skepticism. When you're done watching mainstream media news, you should have far more questions than anything, because there's a lot of stuff they leave out, and it should be obvious, but unless you know to look for it, it might not be. And
I feel very fortunate having worked in the TV business before. I worked with people who were, in a sense, also conservative and very outspoken. And I've even watched some liberal people not want to take interviews because they were concerned. And that was interesting to watch as well. And I like having your take. I think I've grown as an individual just listening to everything. And it is important not to just take the first thing someone tells you. You should ask questions and follow up questions for sure and get the best answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. All right. So this one, finally for Scott. Hey, Scott, I am looking forward to your pods over Christmas, especially the ones about the weed and your friend. Just like Anna, I'm 100% invested in this story and how it goes. Does she know about the pod? I can't wait for the tell-all. #1 fan, Jackie from St. Thomas.
Jackie's great. She listens all the time.
You are loved, my friend.
Over the holiday, thank you. Over the holidays, I am going to have a couple episodes coming out, and I'm recording a couple of them very soon. There's going to be one that's all about cannabis. This is one that if you've got somebody who doesn't like it or thinks it should still be illegal or whatever, that sort of thing, they'll probably learn a lot. If you're a regular cannabis user, you will also learn a lot. It's going to be a great episode. Another one I'm going to do is one that I got a request for. It's all about Bitcoin.
Thank you. I am so unfamiliar with Bitcoin. Like, I know it, but I don't actually know it.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of people who have heard about Bitcoin and they roughly understand what it is, but they don't even know where to start or what's a trustworthy platform. They've probably heard all the stories about people getting ripped off and scammed because of Bitcoin. So in that episode, we're going to go right back to the beginning. Like question 1, what is Bitcoin and how does it have a value?
Yeah.
Right back to that. Then up to how do you invest? How do you know what's trustworthy? All those sort of questions. All of that is going to be answered in the Bitcoin episode. That one in particular is going to be really, really good. Plus, I've got a Silent Date Guy tell-all that's going to release over the holidays. Ooh. Lots of great episodes coming up, but I also don't want to bombard people. I want people to disconnect a little bit, spend time with their families, connect with friends again, and not get caught up in the politics. I think 4 times in this episode, I've said, don't let it ruin your Christmas that whatever guy from a very questionable riding that we were definitely watching for foreign interference crossed the floor abruptly. That's one that needs to be investigated. Don't let it ruin your Christmas. Don't think for a second that this is over and we're stuck with Mark Carney for 3 more years. It's really not like that. A lot's going to happen. Just trust the process. Enjoy your Christmas. But check into those episodes because I need those downloads. I'm trying to hit a specific number by 2026. So
I think that's great because people are going to be in their car. They're going to be commuting to see family, friends, and that. And now they have something to look forward to while driving.
Just back to the media thing, because this is one that really bugs me. Can I play something for you?
Yeah, please.
This is a clip of Elon Musk talking to Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan's podcast. Listen to maybe 30 seconds of this clip.
Okay.
Doesn't it seem weird that the legacy media all says the same thing? They all say the same thing at the same time using the same phrases. They don't even bother picking up a thesaurus.
Right.
So, like right before, the debate between Biden and,
sharp as
and Trump. Everyone was saying sharp as attack. Like, who says sharp as attack? But
yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not a common phrase.
It's definitely not common to be repeated on air with multiple people simultaneously. Yes. That's weird.
Yes.
That's coordinated.
100%.
100% it's coordinated. But Elon Musk actually asked the question, who's sending them their instructions? Anna, you worked in television. Did you ever get a call from like a George Soros or someone like that and say, hey, we got to run this story? Probably not. No. So how does it work? Well, let me tell you something. And this is just off the top of my head. In America, they're called the AP. In Canada, they're called the CP. But they're still very much integrated. The Canadian Press, the Associated Press. That's a syndicated news service, and in a world where a lot of jobs are being cut, particularly journalism jobs, what happens at these media outlets is they use the Canadian Press's media service. It's syndicated in that if the Canadian Press puts out a story, it can publish automatically to local radio and television websites as if someone locally in that market wrote the story. It's meant to look like it's local, even though it was written by one person in Toronto or in Montreal. When you can write one story and set a tone to a story, you know yourself. You write a story, I write a story.
Yeah.
It could be the exact same words, but it's going to come out differently depending on who it comes from. Well, the Canadian Press has a way of writing things where there's certain undertones to it. You're meant to get a certain feeling when you hear that story. It's the way they write it. There's a bias in the way they write it. Well, their stories are automatically getting published on hundreds of websites and social media accounts. That newscast will air on television and radio stations. And even if they don't air the actual newscast, they write the scripts for the newscast that a lot of newscasters use. It comes from the Canadian Press. Take a look the next time you read a blog on your local radio station's website. If it's news, it's probably going to say CP under it. They didn't have a reporter go out and research that story and interview local people that are relevant to the story. It came from one person, one organization that has an agenda, and it automatically shows up across the country. Stuff like that has an incredible impact, an incredible influence on how a story is perceived. In some cases, news anchors that you see on the news at night are reading verbatim what the Canadian Press has written. I'm not saying the Canadian Press is corrupt. I'm not saying the Canadian Press is biased, but you don't need to watch for very long to realize there is a bias there, and they're all subscribing to the exact same news service. That's just a fact. The AP is on thousands and thousands of radio and television stations across America. That means they're also on their website. If one person at the Associated Press writes a story that has a snide little drive-by smear against Donald Trump, well, that gets amplified on thousands and thousands and thousands of different local media outlets. That's how these things happen. That's one of the ways that things happen. But think of it like that. If somebody actually hired a journalist and that journalist went out and did the investigation and filed their report, you could probably trust that they've done their due diligence. You can't necessarily trust that when it comes from a syndicated service that's owned by a corporation. And that's what a lot of these things are. They're syndicated services. You probably dealt with the CP all the time.
Yeah, all the different stories that get posted there. And then you got to go through and see which ones suit what you're going to be doing that evening. So, yeah.
But it's one person, right, at the Associated Press or the Canadian Press that writes it, and it goes to CTV, it goes to CBC, it goes to Global, it goes to City, it goes to Omni, it goes to you name it. All of them get it.
It's true. We all get it.
That's one of the ways that influence comes in.
Yeah.
Right or wrong. All right, friends, fun one today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I've got pods all week next week and a little bit into that following week before Christmas. And then I'll let you know what the release schedule is for those bonus episodes that are coming out. Have yourselves a great one, and I will leave you today with the sounds of Pat James and the whole truth. Hey now, and have a great weekend.
You too.